group of people so that, details sync up, right? These are all individual people telling their story.
So the similarities were really striking. The alleged incidents, a lot of them had a lot of things in common. For one thing, a lot of the women were aspiring models or actresses, very young, very early in their careers.
One was 17 at the time?
Yeah, teenagers. And, they said, oh, my agent told me that, Bill Cosby wants to mentor me, and you show up here, you're going to do a line reading. And then in many cases they said that their drinks were drugged and they woke up naked or during a rape. And so just those stories, but also the way that the women thought about what had happened to them. A lot of these incidents happened in the 60s and 70s, particularly when there literally was not the vocabulary to talk about what had happened to them. Date rape had not been coined. No one knew what acquaintance rape was. They just felt horrible about what had happened. Many of them blamed themselves. They told people, but they never even thought of coming forward because they didn't think about it as rape. They thought about it as, a night gone very, very badly with a famous guy.
You do a very good job of drawing that out in the article about, in some ways, these sort of shifting moral norms and shifting conceptions for the better. I mean, this is such a dark story.
Mm-hmm.
It's so dark.
Yeah.
It's just unspeakably dark in many ways. The kind of, in some ways, the hopeful silver lining here is that, we now unambiguously understand this, if it happened again, as alleged, by 35 different people, as rape.
Even President Obama said it.
Even the president said it as just a sort of statement of fact, which even at the moment sort of struck you as it's weird that we have to say that. but when I read your piece and when I read some of the interviews where people said, I felt horrible and traumatized and violated, but I didn't know what had just happened in any kind of strict legal or conceptual sense.
Right. There's one woman who her daughter was raped when she was a teenager. Her daughter, I think, is 28 or 29 now. And she said her daughter just had a totally different way of dealing with it than she did. She talked about it. She talked to anyone she could make listen about it. And she said that she'd learned a lot from her daughter. And that was another interesting thing in this article. I felt like these women who, are older, the youngest that we interviewed is in her 40s, but I really felt like they had, the culture around rape activism has really changed, largely thanks, especially in recent years, to campus activism.
Yep.
And I feel like these women were looking to some of those lessons from these younger women, especially about how to use social media, how to sort of band together.
On this point of social media, there's this debate about the ways in which kind of social media can be a kind of mob, right?
Mm-hmm.
It can shame people, and sometimes for really silly things. But this also struck me as the other side of it, which is there is a public shaming, and there are survivors who talk about the strength of social media, a public shaming that has been done through social media that was blocked before.
Right. One of the women said, even in 2005, which was when Andrea Constand, pursued legal action with Bill Cosby, it was shut down pretty quickly.
It was on the Today Show, and then it was...
Well, and people, there were a bunch of articles that sort of implicitly implied, oh, these women are, out to make a quick buck. And that has not been the reaction this time around. I think people really want to listen to these women now.
All right, Noreen Malone, New York Magazine is their cover story, and it's also a reminder. I grew up in magazine journalism, and magazines are great things, and what a great magazine feature, great magazine cover can do. It's really an excellent piece of work, so thank you to everyone there for doing it.
You could go buy it in print, keep magazines
You could go buy it in print. You give them the stub, and they give you the... That is all in for this evening. The Rachel Maddow Show starts right now. Good evening, Rachel.
It's great journalism, and you can own it as a physical object.
That's right, exactly.
Amazing. Great stuff. Thanks, Chris. And thanks to you at home for joining us this hour. All right, what I'm about to do here, it has a great visual payoff.